Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are looking at basketball, believe it or not. NBA is finally back. Tomorrow, two-game slate. We got Millie Makers on both sites, so gonna spend some time and break down the two-game slate. Then we have an awesome slate for Friday, so it's gonna get really fun. Can't wait to be playing both baseball and basketball. If you guys have been enjoying the baseball videos, I hope you will enjoy these videos as well. So let's get started. You can start by slapping a like on the video. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can get 200 likes on the video. You can subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. Follow on Twitter at the DFS Process. And if you're interested in joining and looking for extra help, you can hit the website link in the description. So we'll go just team by team and game by game first. Just because there's only 4 teams, I don't think it'll take too long. So with the Jazz, the big news with the Jazz is that Bojan Bogdanovic is out. He had season-ending surgery, so take him out of the Jazz, and what happens? You probably will get more minutes, a lot more minutes for Jordan Clarkson, who came over from the Cavaliers mid-season, and he was playing very well for the Jazz and taking some minutes away from like Mike Conley, who's been struggling. So I think you could see him even potentially push into the low 30s in minutes if they want to run like if for the best offensive lineup they could run like Conley, Clarkson, Mitchell, and then Rudy Gobert at 5, and then at the 4th maybe Ingles. That's obviously really small. Don't know if they will do that, but they're probably going to play Royce O'Neal a lot. But you should get a lot of minutes. Backup point guard, backup shooting guard. Jordan Clarkson looks really good at 4,200, and then Mitchell's looking great. 7,000 will have more scoring opportunities. He's played very well against the Pelicans, like a lot of teams. He will probably draw the defensive matchup of Drew Holiday, who's one of the best defenders as a guard. So it's not going to be super easy. And Lonzo Ball's not terrible, but I think Holiday's going to be stuck on Mitchell. And if he's super popular, you could pivot off of him. From the Jazz, I'm really looking at Clarkson. I love him in my first play. I think Ingles looks pretty good because he's going to get more minutes and more ball handling without not too much more ball handling, but definitely more minutes and probably more consistent like looks and shots. And Conley, I don't really want to play him at 6,200. I just don't think he's been playing that good this year. The minutes have kind of been all over the place, but if you feel good about him, you can definitely take a shot. But I just like Ingles and definitely Clarkson. I think he could probably be better point per dollar wise than Mike Conley tomorrow. Then I'm not really interested in Rudy Gobert, 7,100. I think that's it's decent. You're gonna need like 40 at least out of him to make value. And I wanted to spend up on some of the Lakers and Clippers superstars. And then on the Pelican side, this team is gonna be tough now that they're all healthy. Like there was a chance Zion would have missed a couple games if he was like had a quarantine like Lou Williams, but he looks like he's gonna be good to go for this game, and that's gonna make it pretty tough to figure out their rotation. You have Drew Holiday in there, Ingram, Zion, Lonzo. They all kind of take away from each other when they're all healthy. I think Favors is going to be a pretty good play today or tomorrow, and I think he might go overlooked at 5,800. Now, if you're the Pelicans, you probably don't want to play Jackson Hayes a lot of minutes against Rudy Gobert, and definitely not going to want to play Zion against Rudy Gobert. So, in the two meetings, Favors against the Jazz, he's played 32 minutes. I don't think he'll get up to 32, but maybe like 30. Put him in for 30 minutes, a point per minute guy, a little bit more than that, and pretty significant more than that. Give him like 28 to 30 minutes. I think he can easily put up like 35, around 35 fantasy points, get a double double. Gobert is not going to take him away from the basket, and he should get a lot more rebounding opportunities. Just being down low, and they can't really go small in this game because Gobert is going to be out there unless he's in foul trouble or something crazy. So I like Favors. And then for some of the value plays to decipher, you have Josh Hart and JJ Redick. I think Josh Hart is a little bit safer because he gives you more peripherals, like 6.5 rebounds per game is a lot in just 27 minutes for a guard, and he's a small forward on DraftKings, but he's basically a guard. So I think he's a little bit safer. JJ Redick probably has like a higher ceiling because if he is just unconscious shooting, he's going to stay in the game and he can just rack up the threes and get you those extra bonuses on DraftKings with 3 points made. And that is pretty much it for the Pelicans. I don't feel comfortable paying up for anybody of the studs. If I did, it would be for Zion. I don't really feel good about paying 83 for Ingram because if you go into the Clippers game, which we will move on next, you have Paul George is cheaper than that. And the Clippers are going to be very interesting. They're pretty shorthanded with Lou Williams out and Montrezl Harrell out. So that just makes me feel better about Paul George. Gonna have to shoot more, gonna get more rebounding opportunities, and gonna just probably play a couple more minutes, depending. I don't know how long these teams are gonna let their guys go in the first game, but this is not definitely like a important game for both teams, just for show purposes and bragging rights. But Paul George 7,200 looks great. I don't know why and who thought it was a good idea to have both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George small forward eligible. I had to do a double take when I saw that because that makes no sense. But I kind of do like Paul George a little bit more. And then without Lou Williams and without Montrezl Harrell, I think Marcus Morris is going to have to be the number 3 scoring option instead of the number 4 or number 5 when those two other guys are healthy. And that's going to add to more minutes for him at the 4 without Harrell. And he's going to add to more shot attempts without Lou Williams shooting a lot. So I think he looks very good. He's very cheap at 4,700. I feel good about him. And we're not sure if Patrick Beverley's going to play. I think he will. Yeah, you could play him if you want without Lou Williams, 4,100. Other value plays to consider is JaMychal Green at 3,500. And that's pretty much it. And maybe Zubac if you want uh, without Harrell. But I don't know. They brought in Joakim Noah. They might just split the minutes again. And then the Lakers, super interesting because Davis, yeah, he's going to play. He said he today planning to play. So thank God we don't have to sweat that after lock. So Davis, LeBron, they both look excellent if you want to pay out for both. Most of the production from the Lakers comes from those two. And then you got Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench. He can light it up at times. Without Avery Bradley, you're going to see KCP jump into the starting lineup. And I think he looks fine at 4,000, although you have Danny Green at 3,500. Not much of a difference between playing KCP or Danny Green. I think Danny Green might give you a little bit more in terms of point per dollar play. So I like him. Dwight Howard is now questionable. I mean, I don't know if he's questionable, but he was limited. I think he'll still go if somehow he doesn't. I still think you can play JaVale McGee at 36. That is just really cheap. And now they've brought in J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters, and Rondo's out, so you have Caruso probably going to get more run. I think one of those, probably Dion Waiters, might not play a lot. Could probably see him play a handful of minutes, if not like get a DNP I think Caruso's going to get 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. J.R. Smith is probably going to play. And you have Keith Morris probably going to play a little bit. So they have a bunch of just wing guys that are all very cheap, and you can all just put in at some percentage wise. I would say out of all the cheap guys, I probably feel good about Danny Green and JaVale McGee the most, then Caruso, and then KCP. And then I love LeBron and love Anthony Davis to pay up for. So that's just the team by team breakdown, and going into some of the plays that I'm really on. Point guard LeBron James, 10-7. He got so much time off, like everybody else, but especially for a guy like him, up there in age, I think we're going to see a really good LeBron James the rest of the season. He's always been in great shape, and getting an extra rest for just how much playing time he plays every night. Never really see him take days off, so I love him at 10-7. At point guard, you can play him at small forward as well. Shooting guard might be a position I spend down a little bit just because there's so many cheap guys right here, and I probably feel good about Jordan Clarkson. Good chance that he's going to get like close to 30, if not more than 30 minutes without Bojan Bogdanovic in there. He's a great shooter. It's not a great shooter, but he's been shooting well for the Jazz. He can handle the ball, get some assists, maybe a couple. He doesn't like to pass too much. He likes to shoot. But overall, 4,200, I like him for definitely in a fast-paced matchup against the Pelicans. Small forward, I love Paul George. It's like really cheap at 7,200. Gonna have to take on more of an offensive burden without Lou Williams and without Montrez. Maybe get some more rebounds, increase rebounding opportunities. And I think 7,200 is just great for Paul George. At power forward, I think you could look at a couple of options. Kyle Kuzma looks good. Marcus Morris looks pretty good at 47. If you want to take a shot on JaMychal Green, he's 35. You don't want to pay up for anybody, but it's kind of like a toss-up between some of those guys. I love Anthony Davis at 10,000. Gonna pay up for him. You can play him at center if you want to, but I like the Davis-LeBron pairing. Run it back with Paul George. Run it back with like a Morris if you want. You can't get all the way up to Kawhi. It's going to be impossible to do that. But 10,000 Davis, I think he looks very good. And he's going to have a pretty easy matchup down low, trying to defend it by Zubac and Joakim Noah, however old he is now. I know he's a good defender, but that was like 5 years ago. So like Anthony Davis. And then center, might skip this position, but I like Derek Favors. I like Zubac a little bit, but really JaVale McGee at 36, great for value. At guard, I think there's plenty of cheap options. You're going to have to go with like some cheap plays to pay up for some of these studs. And I think that 30, or he's a forward, but 3,900, Josh Hart looks pretty good. He should see mid-20s in minutes. I think if they run the rotation how it is, he could see like 27 to 29 minutes maybe if we're lucky. And he can kind of do it all when he's out there, get rebounds, score a little bit. He can handle the ball a little bit, but really it's just points and rebounds. The rebounds are a plus for 3,900 for him. And then at guard, have some of those guys I mentioned, like Reggie Jackson if Beverly is not playing, but I think he will. You have Beverly, you can play him. Depending on what kind of news we get there, I might just, at power forward, I would just go with like Morris. I think he will get a pretty sizable bump and he has a small sample size if you look at Court IQ on Rotogrinders. And I think that will go up with the minutes and stuff like that as he gets more playing time, but she'll become the number 3 scoring option. I think he looks good, and he probably will get more minutes at the 4. And then at center, I'll probably play Davis. So I think these 6 look great for me as a starting point. It's like a first look. So that's it for Draftkings. I will touch on Fanduel, although these plays are pretty much the same or similar on both sites. Okay, on Fanduel, running through the pricing, point guard, Alonzo, 7,900. That's going to be tough to get to. Then you have Conley, 57. I think that's okay. Reggie Jackson, if Beverly is not in, then that's like probably a lock-in at 3,800. And then you have like Caruso at min price, 3,500. Could definitely use somebody like that. Shooting guard, I like Paul George a lot, 7,400. Donovan Mitchell looks good too at 72. You have Josh Hart, Clarkson, some cheap plays that he can look at. There's a lot of cheap plays here. We also have Redick. But I think paying up for Paul George or Donovan is probably a good strategy. Small forward, LeBron is going to be the guy that I pay up for. I like Joe Ingles at his price point. Kawhi, obviously. Then you have Morris. Actually, no Morris interest. If it was Morris, it would be Marcus Morris, and that is 4,200 at power forward. Looks pretty enticing. Zion and Davis both look great. Go ahead and plug in Morris at 4,200. I feel good about that. At center, Gobert or Favors is kind of the main guys. You could take a shot and hope you get lucky with McGee or Zubac, but I like Favors. I feel comfortable that he's going to get the minutes in a matchup against Rudy Gobert. And at that price point, I think he looks great. And see what other position I could go with you guys a point guard, but I'm not sure. It'll kind of depend on the Patrick Beverly news for me. See at small forward. Go ahead and like Ingles looks decent at his price point. If I had to give you guys a point guard, I think it might just be like Mike Conley. 57 is definitely more tolerable on FanDuel where you need 2 point guards. And depending on the Patrick Beverly news, it might change, but I think Conley looks good at that price point. Definitely won't be getting up Alonzo tomorrow. And that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. You can slap a like if you enjoyed. And good luck tonight or tomorrow.